Cavecast, the uncensored show for nerds of all kinds.
How often do you think you doom scroll on TikTok? If you had to guess, with the times that your mind goes vacant, or when you're just letting the thumb fly, maybe it's before bed or whatever. But how often do you think you doom scroll on TikTok?
As far as like a real deep dive, I'd say once.
Oh, really?
At night. But I mean, I am on TikTok throughout the day, but the fact of I'm either just kind of maybe waiting for something to be done or whatever is when I'll do that, or right before I know I'm gonna hop on and edit. So I try to limit myself.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do scroll a lot, I feel but as far as a hard I'm fucking in it to win it.
Yeah.
is at nighttime.
Yeah, no, same. Yeah.
But I mean, maybe sometimes in the morning, when I first wake up too. Sometimes.
I tend to have those more so when it's a day off, where it's I
Sure.
woke up at 10 o'clock. I am not ready to be a part of the real world. I'll just sit here and make this small motion, and I don't know. To me, I think that no matter the time of day, whenever I'm doom scrolling, I always run into something creepy. And I don't know if that's just, from having Bob the Demon in the past, or if just from the stuff I like.
Mine's the same.
Oh, really?
Yeah, mine's the same. I mean, I think it just comes from over time of, whether it be, dispatch videos or, maybe it's a haunted place or something. But I mean, it calculates that stuff. If you're staying and watching it, especially if you've liked it, obviously.
Yeah.
So it over time, I feel it does just become more of a normal thing in your normal scrolling.
Right.
But it does seem like things happen more so at night. It's almost like it knows your time frame.
Yeah.
And it knows, oh, it's 11 p.m. So
yeah, dude, there's been a couple of things that I've had to completely just scroll away from. Now, what I will say, as far as backroom stuff, that I've not had any moments where I've had to get away from it. It's more so I've had more of the intrigue. But I think that what gets me are the, again, if they're real, but I mean, if not, they're still effective. But, the paranormal videos that you'll see, where it's
Sure.
somebody filming their pantry, swinging open, or a shadow moving down a hall, or things like that. It's sometimes.
See, I'm not buying it.
Oh, really? You don't think any of it's real?
Not usually. Not usually. I think that some of the extent of the severity of what it is.
Sure.
All of the doors slamming at one. Come on, man.
It's a cool effect, but yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But that's what you see in movies. As far as a real life thing. Now, I'm sure that I've seen, there's been a couple, I can't name any offhand, but I'm okay, that was fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as those, the cabinet doors and, the things like that, I don't know. To me, it just screams why are you just standing there it's happening? If it's that terrifying, why are you there?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That's just me though.
Sure. Yeah. Because I think that it's kind of goes into the whole found footage trope where, it's when you watch an intense found footage movie where it's not just, oh, I'm filming this from a distance. It's the I'm being chased. And we've talked about it a little bit where the person that has the camera is filming forward, then filming backward, filming themselves, and then filming forward again. Where do we go, guys? Oh, there's a door. It's that kind of dumb shit. Where it's just where you can really take out, the believability of it, besides just somebody that set a camera down or was filming, a video of maybe they're trying to do makeup or things like that. And then something weird happens in the background. But what I will say is that the most interesting thing that I think that has stuck with me, because I mean, I've stuck around for probably, I would say maybe 2 or 3 kind of consistent things on TikTok that are freaky, or that are horror based or scary. And the other one is that now, again, this all has to be fake. And if it is real, then I think that it's kind of all right, well, how did they spin all this and how are they still alive? But because it gets super ridiculous is the dark web guys, where it's they'll order a clown off the dark web or a spider off the dark web.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
that's the thing is that, again, that's where I immediately like swipe off because I don't want it in my feed anymore because that shit's fake to me. And well, it is. Now, when I don't know, there's a guy that I forget his name, but he's, I don't know, in his mid 30s, I would say, and kind of skinny, but I don't know what he does things on the dark web to like, I think, shut stuff down as well.
Oh, so he's like maybe like a hacker or something like that?
I forget his name, but like he sits down and is like being interviewed and he will talk about things. And I'm like,
oh yeah, I've seen him. Yeah.
This I believe, you know, like as far as like maybe they even show like not actual footage, but like reenacting or something. It's like, okay, like, but see, that's believable. I know that this is a fake right now, but what he's saying is real.
Right.
So that's different. But as far as I ordered a clown off the dark web and this is what went wrong. No, you fucking didn't. That's your buddy Bill in the fucking costume.
Yeah. He happens to be really good on stilts. You know, right?
Ted's over here with the fucking night vision, you know, like that's all that is.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just, if I want to be scared, I'm going to go watch one of my movies that I enjoy or maybe something new because that stuff is supposed to be like, they're trying to dupe people.
Yeah.
At least a movie, I know it's a fucking movie.
Sure.
So that's where it's at. Like, leave that to what it is.
Well, I think that there's some push and pull when it comes to, you know, just the paranormal side of the internet, because even like when I was doing Bob the Demon, I had plenty of people that would email me and be pissed off. Like, this is all fake. I'm like, I know, that's the point.
Yeah.
Like I'm creating a show. Like, you know, I'm doing like, so like, I think that when essentially like when a creator has the, you know, fortitude to, or the integrity to be like, okay, you know, no, this is for fun. This is what we're doing. And, you know, and maybe like they kind of keep it under wraps for a little while. And then it's like, no, guys, this is clearly fake.
Yeah.
You know, I think that for entertainment, you know, that's something that I really do gravitate towards because there's a part of me that wants to be scared without the consequence. You know, of reality, which I mean, that's something that, you know, is written into our primal like code of like,
yes, I would say that makes sense,
you know, but, I don't know, like I guess it's been ingrained in me since, you know, like for a while, just because of things like Marble Hornets, where it was like, you know, this amazing, you know, just 82 episode or 83 episode, just web series that was all found footage. Like that's just gift wrapped like and given to me, you know, where I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. So like I find myself, you know, embracing these things and really enjoying them a lot. And the Backrooms, this is, guys, if you don't know what this is something that depending on if you are into horror or not, you know, that's really going to gauge whether or not this is something that you'll want to check out. But I'm pretty sure that if you've scrolled on TikTok, you have seen these strange things where it's like, you know, the yellow walls and these random slides that go nowhere, or like these pool rooms, or the big courtyard area that has almost like this apartment complex, but like it doesn't go anywhere. Like it's really disturbing.
I think I've seen the clip of the tape measure, but other than that, like when you showed me the one that we watched before we did the podcast,
yes, yeah, we watched the first short film. Yeah,
I've never seen that one, and you know, you wanted like my opinion as far as somebody that is not a non-believer, but again, like those kind of things don't do anything for me as far as like scare.
Yeah, I think the way we spun it last night was the idea that you are not susceptible to scares. I more so am.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
And the fact of, you know, going into this also knowing that it's not real, but the fact of like what this person was doing in their vision, I was like, okay, well, I want to see what this is. And while it wasn't scary in a sense of, oh my God, all the time, you know, the thing, whatever the, you know, I don't know. I said something like it was like scribbled on the wall and it came off. But,
yeah.
But the thing, you know, towards the end when there's, you know, a jump scare, yes, that was kind of scary and it kind of caught me off guard too. The fact of, for the most part, it's just all blank things.
Yeah. And
by yourself, but we obviously know that that's not the truth.
Yeah.
But that was just very unsettling. It was this whole like, it was almost like you were put in a maze, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, and this is just what you've got. I don't like that.
Yeah, no.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
And the fact that at one point when it kind of had this moment where it was showing it pulled back, I was like, oh, it's kind of like the movie Cube, where you have all of these sections, and even if it's like moving around or whatever, but still, it had this eeriness about it and some slight horror. It didn't scare me. That could be something I definitely would watch, like just by myself in a dark room and like in my bedroom, like or whatever. And I'd be like, well, what the fuck is this? But it's not something that I always gravitate towards. But when something is good, and this teenage kid, I know you said he was like 16
when the first one was produced, which we'll leave a link of the description. So yeah,
that like knowing that as well, like, dude, bravo. Like that was creepy. So like, again, it doesn't always do that for me, but that one was good. It was just the fact of I was waiting for like a horror thing and it wasn't the same concept that I was thinking.
Yeah.
But still good.
I think what's interesting is that there's so many things that you can delve into when it comes to the backrooms, because for basically long and short of it, and I'm sure that there's maybe going to be, some speculation on how this actually did start, but essentially it's the fact that on 4chan, a creepypasta was posted, or a picture was posted, something to that effect, of somebody looking for settings that are very unsettling, of that, just this, space that you're in is just, whether it's large and vast or if it's, tight and compact. Like that's kind of like how I was envisioning this guy asking this question. Like it would be like us going on our Discord and saying, hey guys, like make up this new scary thing or something, kind of like Slender Man, where it was like, oh, like give me a new monster or something. And essentially it was like, man, like this creepypasta, like there's a lot of lore in it. Like, there's many fan, stories that have been done about this. There's countless video games that have been made that have taken their own liberty of building this world. And I think that it's interesting that Kane was able to do what he did, because he doesn't really follow the rules of the creepypasta, but he still keeps it true enough that it's like, well, this is just one of the millions of miles of something that you are interacting with. And to me, like that kind of like adds more of the, dare I say, the charm, where it's kind of like, man, like you can kind of have like creative autonomy on this in a way, and, do something very fresh with it, or you can just play by the rules and make up your own thing. Sure. And it's, I don't know, like there was something that just, it just gripped me, man. Like this thing has just got its hooks in me. And I'm just like, man, like this is so damn cool. Like, it's like who thought of this, so.
The one thing that I will say, and obviously I have not seen all of them. You showed me like another clip of another episode or whatever.
Yeah. There's 19 episodes on YouTube. Yeah.
Is it ever explained is my thing and the reason I ask that is that while this stuff is great, and the, like even with the fact of like the push at the end, and then it's just like you're just free for like fucking what, but okay, you can do all of these things and have all of this craziness and weirdness, but if you don't explain what this is, and I don't know, like I think that's where stuff like that like irks me, when I know it's gonna just be like this forever mystery. I don't like that either. Like you got to give me something at least, but it's just so I don't know if this has ever been resolved or
that's
So again, I don't know, but as from what I've seen, if this is just going to be an ongoing thing, I don't know. It's going to get too repetitive, I feel like, and for no reason for me.
Sure. Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. I think what's interesting is that I saw a couple of things. The one I did not have the fortitude to be able to go through. Fortitude, I don't even know that's the right word, but like the, endurance to be able to go through. Because you remember me telling you about the guy that I found that did an 8-hour long review of Death Stranding?
Oh, yeah.
There is a gentleman, I can't remember his name because I've only seen his channel a couple of times, and I need to like actually like do it in sections. But if I'm not mistaken, he takes every single version of the Backrooms, explains them goes through them, explains how, like who came up with them, how it was done, all that. He talks about Kane, but the video is 10 hours long. So it's
God.
there is so much lore that has been built into this. Now, whether or not that reveals how the Backrooms were built or why they exist, I don't know. But it's kind of like the idea that, well, when you make it into this level of the Backrooms, we know that the creatures behave this way. When you get into this level, there are no creatures, but there's, like maybe some hazards you have to avoid, like maybe a cliff or something that would resemble a cliff of you trying to like jump over something. Like, I've not gone through all of the lore to know exactly okay, like there's this deity or this being that created everything. In a way, it almost kind of seems like they're taking kind of almost like the Smile approach, where it's not a ghost or a demon. Like with Smile, it's spoiler warning for anyone that's not seen it, but it's more so a mind monster. It exists in the plane of your mind, which is of like the psychosis thought of it. So it's like, okay, the Backrooms is essentially clipping out of reality into another dimension or into another plane of existence. And for anybody that doesn't know what no clipping means in video game terms, it means that you slide through or go through a physical object. So it's like the fact that it's random, the fact that there's basically no way out except for if you happen to stumble upon something you can fall through or make it through the levels. And I think one of the fan theories or people have said is that if you make it to the third level and you're essentially calm, you basically accept the Backrooms as your home, and that's the only time that it will let you go. Which is kind of that irony where it's like,
okay, so there is some form of explanation.
Yeah, it's not much. It's like we don't have much, but
but that's fine. At least that's what I'm saying. You got to give me something here. Okay, all right, then I'm even more intrigued. And I know this isn't necessarily like paranormal and things like that, but this is, I think, more intriguing to me than all of those other movies that I have really tried to get into that are not that are still like horror, I guess you could say, style, but like, The Exorcist, the Insidiouses, the Conjurings. Not that those are the exact same, but I feel like those kinds of movies and short films kind of fall in the same category.
You know what to expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact that, okay, there is some form of explanation here. Now I'm a little more intrigued because it was done really well. The little to no dialogue doesn't bother me because you're so focused on what is happening.
Yeah.
And if there was too much dialogue, I would have probably missed, the fact of the creature the first couple of times, like right around the corners. I'm like, what the fuck is that thing?
That's actually that's what I loved about what Kane did with this, was that it's already, as you were saying, like it's already creepy enough that you're in a place that's like this.
Right.
And the fact that, because I remember once I got done, because I remember watching the short film, because I'm like, I'm not going to read comments. I'm just going to take it in as it should be. And then kind of let that be like my review of like looking at what people have said. And they gave a timestamp, and it was actually, I was really impressed that you caught it, was that it was the first time that you see the shadow. Not when it's peeking around the corner, but more so like when the character is looking through kind of like the sections, and you can kind of see like some light at the end of the expanse of space he's in, you see this almost like rigid outline. And at first my first thought was, oh, there's something there, but then the camera moved, and I'm like, well, this is VHS tape, so it's like maybe it's warping, like it's so like, and it's just,
that was the other thing too, was the how it looked. I remember saying that, with this being only like a year or so old, with him doing the VHS style approach with the lines that would come through and the humming and buzzing, and that actually made it way worse for me, I think, than if it would have been on somebody's phone that was like dead silent.
Yeah.
Which is odd, because you would think that would be worse, but it's not, because you can hear everything now.
Yeah, everything is crystal clear. You can hear a pin drop. Yeah.
So it kind of gave that forgiveness on whether this kid had to do like some Blender stuff or in real life stuff and CGI. Like it wasn't perfect, because, well, that's what the fuck it would have looked like.
Yeah.
even if it was picture perfect, it's not going to pick that shit up on a 1994 VHS camera.
Yeah.
Like, that's what made it, I think, really unsettling for me was it had that look that I remember. And it would be like, bro, if I was 15, 16 years old and this happened to me, you know what I mean? Like, that's what it would have been my time like that. It's like, so it all kind of like came together. So the look especially was big for me because he nailed it. And it also was forgiving on what he was doing.
Yeah. It's
so that it was other than the creature, but I understand that the creature was supposed to be kind of fucked anyways, but
yeah, what's interesting is that so depending on what version of the Backrooms that you essentially dive into, no pun intended, but it's like you know, but it's like, you know, the idea of like, okay, you know, this is the type of creature that you're going to experience on this level, because I've heard some people say this, and he even talked about it in an interview where somebody was like, no, dude, level 2 is where the smile is. Like, the smile is not here. And he's like, well, that's not my Backrooms. He's like, I that's not what I was trying to do. He's like, I made my own entities or my own creatures and stuff to essentially have fun with and do whatever I want with. The interesting thing is that there is actually, I read one of the comments is that, because you mentioned the roar.
Because I was going to say it almost kind of like sounded like an elephant, even with the way it like was walking. Like, because I'm like, okay, well, it's clearly tall and skinny, like almost like a slender man, but it's got this very big presence to it. Like, even with the way it walks, like it's like a T-Rex coming at you.
Yeah.
And that was very like not off-putting, but I was like, oh, okay. You know, you almost would have expected it to be like quiet and very like ninja like.
Yeah, well, especially because the legs have more of like peg legs to them, so it's like you would expect maybe like just the resonance,
like ticking, or like
like it should be almost like a subtle monster, but it isn't.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, what is this, an elephant? Like, I wasn't trying to be funny, but the way it sounded with its like stomping and its noises, I'm like, well, I don't understand. Like, this is fucking with my mind right now. And that's probably the whole point.
Well, I think that I'm going to try to find a way to dance around this, but essentially what I read was that it was in one of the comments of the original Backrooms, the one that you watched, was that it said that the reason why it has the scream or the roar that it does compared to other entities that maybe have more cognitive ability is that apparently, from what this person said, if this is true for the lore, is that for whatever reason, there was a very young child that ended up in the Backrooms when this thing was essentially formed. So the screaming and the crying from this thing is the only thing it recognizes as like to communicate. So it's this idea where like it adds this whole nother psychological like just level to this.
Why does it sound like a fucking elephant?
So that's, to me, I think I think it's,
I mean, like, I get that kids, like babies, scream and wail, but like they don't sound like that. Not even close.
I think it's from I'm going to get kind of deep, but it's like, I think it's from the vocal ability, is that it's the idea that no, it doesn't have the same pitch or the same shriek, but it's the idea of the frequency and like how it would like, like when a kid is either scared or in pain or whatever, what that scream sounds enough to be dark, but it's like, it's very interesting that was something that someone brought up where it's like, oh my God, like even the creatures, like the way they behave, like there's a possibility that there's intense lore there.
Why does it weigh so much when it walks? Like I'm not trying to be funny, but it's like, okay, that's fine, but how do you explain the fact that it sounds like it's 30 foot tall and 900 pounds?
Yeah, and like, it's thin as a rail.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is that I like mind fucks like that. And like I stated earlier, I mean, it's not like a broken record, but the fact that you do get some form of an answer of things is what is intriguing me, because now I've got all of these questions and you can't just fucking blue ball me.
Right. Yeah.
Like, the prom queen can't just fucking deep throat me for the last 20 minutes and just go, all right, gotta go. Like, fuck no, bitch. Like,
no,
but no,
I get it. Yeah.
like this is where things like that start to piss me off.
Mhm.
And it's like, it's like you had a great idea. You had a great idea. You didn't know how to fucking execute it all the way is your problem.
Yeah.
And it's showing.
Well, I think, because I mean, let's face it, we've all watched movies or have like seen, TV series where it's like, it feels like the writers were just making it up,
Yeah.
But from what it seems like is that Kane has done a very good job of just being like, look, this is, essentially the rules I follow. This is what goes on with this. And what's interesting is that he was interviewed and they were like, so all these game theorists or these, people that do video essays on this stuff, like, have they influenced your, your vision of where you want to go? And he basically was like, no, he's like, I know where it's going. I figured this out. He's like, I know all the answers. So it's like, to me,
okay.
So here's the interesting thing is that just because you create something with all the answers doesn't mean that they'll be released. So it's like, I don't know how much of it that we'll ultimately learn, like, like when the time comes that, the series is done. It's like we had a beginning, we had a middle, we had an end. So to me, it's like, you can look at that in a couple of ways, is that you could either be like, all right, that's awesome. I don't necessarily need to know these things. I just know that there is something bigger and this allows me to think about it. Or it's the idea is that a good cover to say that you didn't know what the fuck you were doing?
Right.
So it's
right.
So again, I have not watched all of the videos that have come out, so I don't know. Because this is the other thing too, is that like when it comes to the Backrooms, is that there's an entire just side story or the main thing that encompasses everything about this company that, essentially broke through, dimensional layers and found this dimension. And that's why all these things are now happening. So it's like you have, just not even the Backrooms lore, but you also have this company's lore.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You
did tell me about that. So it's like they're almost like they're going on like studies and things like this to go look. Man,
like they're researching it.
Yeah.
Even they don't know. And it's like, that's the interesting dynamic you have.
So again, now that you've refreshed me on that, is that, yes, this does seem way more intriguing to me because it's not just 10 random people, with their video cameras.
Yeah, right.
Falling through
all of them happen to have GoPros on their chest. Yeah.
Right. Now you've got like, even though it's a made up thing as far as this team and stuff to go with the lore, but it's like, okay, you've got people knowing this is a thing. And now let's go fucking see what this is.
Yeah.
So again, that's where it's like, you got to give me some kind of answer here because all of this is great. And you've got research teams going, don't tell me it's just, whatever you think it is. No, fuck you.
No, I'm sorry. We didn't find anything out. So,
No.
Yeah.
That's why I was talking about the prom queen. Like, you can't just leave. Like, that's it. You got to go through the portal. Like,
what's interesting is that through some of the breakdowns that I've seen of this is that there's a video that is a part of the series where they actually pull a body out of the Backrooms. And they talk about how this coroner was just like, okay, well, he's like, this person died from, malnutrition. So clearly they starved to death because they were there for so long. Mm-hmm. What's interesting is that if I remember correctly, the body that they found, I'm not going to lie, dude, it looked like it was straight out of The Last of Us, is that it's sitting like in like one of the big, vast, like open, like first like yellow areas that you come into. And I think it's like very soon is like when the team goes in, it's maybe like 5 minutes in, is that they turn left, they look over, they see this body, and it's almost got this like black mold that's been growing around this dead body that's on the walls. And even because the one shot that's in the short film you saw was the ladder with the hole.
Yeah.
There's many holes that are above it, and it almost looks like the mold has like grown and like traveled up into these holes to like escape. So it's like, it makes you wonder, we're like, okay, so there's this mold that's growing in this Backrooms. Like, are people being affected by it? Because like you can hear different characters cough whenever they're like maybe like they're out of breath, but also like when they're walking, you know, just normally, it's like this stuff is like poisoning them in a way. Like it's very interesting. And the to get back to the coroner was that he essentially has this moment of like, where did you find this body? Because there are portions of this body that are decomposing properly, and then there's other parts of this that are not affected by the environment whatsoever. So, and like there's also like this type of fungal growth or this you know, plant life that is involved in it that should be benign and not affect humans, but for some reason in the back rooms it does. So it's like there is so much to unpack.
See,
it's insane.
This is what I mean. Don't mean to sound like a broken record. You can't just leave it on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
You can't. You have involved so much now that don't tell me you couldn't figure out where to go with it because you just George R.R. Martin the fuck out of us on all of this shit with all of the details. Yeah. And you can't tell me, well, it's because a golden retriever stepped on a butterfly over here on the West Coast at 2 p.m. I don't give a shit if that's the answer. You got to give it to me.
Well, I think that an explanation is something that I am definitely hungry for, but there's also something that I think would be interesting because I don't know if this has been decided on or if like how the Backrooms was created, because we're like, it's kind of like, I mean, not to get deep, but it's like the complex of the universe where it's like, okay, like we like either we're alone or we're not alone. Like like this expanse of space that is around us, like that, like clearly something made this. Okay, it was either the Big Bang or it was God. Now we get into the Backrooms, which is a whole nother dimensional plane that we're playing in. And what it does make me wonder is that with the lore that is with the company is that essentially like one of the videos you have is that there's essentially a doorway that it's almost like an explosion occurs, which ironically connects to an earthquake that actually really did happen in real life. So it's saying that it's like, oh, like this is the reason for this earthquake. And like, you know, maybe it's like the idea that, you know, we even opened a door is like the cataclysmic accident that made this thing be created, you know, where it's like almost kind of like it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, or there's entities or something that we can't understand that for whatever reason made this place that clearly is not for humans, but is made to either trap humans or make them just lose their minds. You know, it's in, I think to me, I think that that's kind of like it's more terrifying and like especially in the cosmic horror aspect because it's like it just doesn't make sense. Like our brains can't comprehend it. So like a part of me is kind of okay with not knowing.
Oh no, I'll find him and Will Smith the shit out of him if that happens. I will fucking pimp slap him so hard. Be like, fucking fix it.
I will make you my Chris Rock. Yeah.
Like, no, I fucking refuse.
So
give me my 30 hours back.
So what would you like to maybe see? Like when you think of like everything you've seen, what would be, I think, like a good explanation or an explanation you would not fucking stand for? Like, is it
that I wouldn't stand for?
Yeah, or like what's something that you would want for an explanation of why this exists?
Well, so again, I don't know much, so I don't know how to say like what I would like expect. But you can't, again, going throughout all of this creativity and writing and, you know, thought process of, you know, I guess the end product here is you can't be lazy with it and just be like, well, just because that's what God said.
Right.
And you can't do that. Like again, the whole golden retriever butterfly West Coast, like even if it's got to be a mouthful and sound like it was something that was supposed to be. That's the thing is that you've got to do something here because this is a major fucking thing that's happening. You know, some could argue that it's almost like a made up version of CERN and, you know, like parallel universe with like Mandela effect and things like that, where it's like, no, I knew that. So but what I'm saying is that there are, I guess, some conspiracies and, you know, maybe some, I guess, thoughts on like what this is. You can't have all of this and then just go just because.
Yeah, right.
No, dude. So CERN made a big fucking like thing that like they like energy source and portal. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was a scientific accident.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Give me something like that.
Yeah.
That's what I expect. Like, but it also could go the whole other thing where it's like, no, some kid just stumbled upon this one section, and because he threw his binky in there, it opened up 3,000 portals. I don't fucking know.
Right.
Give me something here. It just because. No, I'll still slap the shit out of you, dude. Like you can't just.
No, and trust me that I don't want that either. And like there is a part of me that like wonders if the ambiguity of like for instance, like when it comes to the the Halloweens, like with like 4, 5, and 6, when it's like, the cult that's involved in that, and the man in the steel-toed boots, where it's like, to this day, from what I understand, we still don't know what the hell that was about. That's something that I would love for it to like not do. But if there was like a final level of the Backrooms as far as like how Kane like decides it, where it's like, okay, like maybe we get to see an entity or like get to see a large thing that you finally make it to. And like, it's the idea of like, it's kind of like the god of that universe.
Sure.
So it's like having some fun with it or whatever. I mean, again, like he's got his mindset down. He knows what he wants to do, but it's just, man, like to me, it did something to my creative side and also my creative enjoyment that I personally, I felt that was like lacking for a long time, because it was just like, man, like this is genuinely unsettling. Because let's face it, we've seen hundreds of slasher movies. We've seen hundreds of shark movies. We've like as a society.
Deep Blue Sea was the only good one.
Yes. Oh, right. Yeah.
Deep Blue Sea was the only good one. Fuck a Jaws. Fuck a Meg.
Hold on.
Nah.
Wait, you don't like Jaws?
Not really.
Really?
No. Fucking snooze fest.
Wait, so okay.
The only good one was a part 2 when he gets his arm bit off at the beginning.
That is part 4, which is one of the worst Jaws films that's ever been.
I don't know, but like I said, it's the beginning. It's the fucking 38 seconds. It's the mom said it's the only part I ever wanted to watch. Other than that, snooze. Give a fuck about a shark.
I'm still mad that Jaws: The Revenge happened, and it's not even like, I mean, Chris Stuckman has done a full hilariosity review that I highly suggest that you watch if you haven't seen it, but just the way that he will just stop and look at the camera when he's like the shark followed them from the island to the Bahamas.
Yep.
It followed them.
Stalked them.
It went through ecosystems that it should not be able to survive in.
Right.
To stalk no, dude, fuck you. Like, no, it's like after that, I was like, let's just see some cool kills. Like, I was just like, I mean, like, at least maybe that'll be good.
Oh, you mean they got 8?
Yeah, right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Saw it 47 times.
It just, well, yeah.
They drowned? Cool. Saw it 13 times.
It's to me, it's like, it's hard because like when you think about like watching like a Jason movie, or you're thinking about watching a Freddy movie, is that we're all there to like, like we're all there to see people, either get ripped apart or
stuff.
Like we want to see the gore. But do you ever get this way when you watch a movie like that, where you're kind of like, well, like you used your wild card. Like, it's like, I know this is the thing, there's no mystery, but still I think it can be effective when Freddy does pop around a corner, because you do know that he is the, the scary thing of this movie. But there's been something that I've been missing in film for a while, where it's just like, man, like I want to be thrown into something that I don't understand. Like, it's like this, whether it is ambiguity or if it's just like, like the mentality of not knowing how to deal with something.
Okay.
So like, it's like, because I think that's why it works, because it's so different, where it's like, there's not just a solid one threat,
Sure. But I guess here was my thing is that when I was talking about like, the answer of like what's acceptable or what's not, how I was trying to explain it was I was trying not to give away things that you're writing. But I almost feel like it's the like the middle. You've built a ridiculous world that you have, and I told you to. It's your world. You can make whatever you want, just like the Backrooms. Whatever you make it to be able to do to get to the middle is how it's going to do. You're giving an answer, no matter how ridiculous it is. You're giving the audience an answer on why all of these things are happening, or a narrative of, this happens now because he figured this part out. I guess that's the thing with the Backrooms. It almost kind of reminds me a little bit of like the story you're writing.
It kind of tripped me out. I didn't want to like say like, oh, I took credit or like anything like that. But
you didn't.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact you didn't. But it's just what I'm saying is that, while you might not have as much of details on certain things that the Backrooms has already done, you will. But this guy, has all of this stuff done. You can't tell me you don't have an ending or a reason why. So I'm saying you do. Oh, the hair's on.
No, that'll be fine.
But you do. But you had, like I said, this ridiculous set that you have put people in for this script. It makes sense, even though you made it the fuck up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, isn't that weird where every story is just something that somebody thought of?
Right. So I guess that's my thing is that to me, that just comes down to lazy writing if you can't give me something, because just tell me you're good at writing the meat and bones, but you can't finish something. Tell me, that's fine. Hire somebody to fucking end your stuff then. Yeah. That's what you got to do then. Just give them credit.
Yeah, right.
Like, honestly, like, look at one of my favorite films, It. It's a fucking spider.
Yeah, right.
Say it with me, a spider.
What does he say? The eater of worlds, or he's like,
sure.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But then why are you a fucking spider if you're the eater of worlds? You know what? Give me 2 lines of coke, Stephen King. I could have thought of a better fucking ending than that. Like,
well, he also had that whole train thing that happened too, which was just,
I'm just saying,
he was out of his mind. Well, yeah, right. Yeah.
It's just the fact of that is the biggest flaw for me on that story. The biggest. And I think it's everybody's thing.
Yeah.
He had all of this great idea and you fucking you got me off at the end. Cool. But I could have jerked myself off. You know what I mean? Like,
it was a lot better than you.
Yeah, a lot quicker. But you look tired. Sorry.
Chris Porter, if you've not seen him, you guys got to see him. Yeah.
But that's the thing is you're not doing that, and I hope that this kid or this guy doesn't as well, because you have given you're given a story to people. And you're giving this explanation, and a good one. Like I said, even if it's made up, you're not giving somebody a spider.
No.
So, you know what I mean? So that's where I guess my whole thing about this series is as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that it's also just, it's cool to see somebody just be ballsy, where it's and do something because I don't know, I tend to kind of go back and forth between, because I mean, it's funny. It's all coming back to Marble Hornets, but, that was a series that just, if you guys have not seen it, I highly suggest you watch it. It's dated, it's old, it's it's one of those where it's kind of
still pretty good. I've seen some.
It's the fact that it's you can kind of tell that it's how could anybody believe that this was even possibly real, because the blood looks ridiculous, or because I think there's one point where Joseph, who plays Alex, he's sitting staring at his camera, but he has blood that's already dripped and dried on his face, and he's just staring at the camera. So it's you knew what they were trying to do.
Right.
But again, they were just some college kids where it was hey, do you want to make a Slender Man film? All right, cool. No one's ever done that before. How the fuck do we do that? But I don't know. It was, from what I remember was that Troy and Joseph, the 2 main guys of that, was that they had very differing opinions on where the series should go. Was that, if I remember correctly, Joseph was kind of the ending doesn't matter. It was about the journey. Whereas Troy was no, Troy was no, the ending does matter. But see, and they were able to feed off each other in that aspect, and it's just kind of interesting because I live in both camps.
I was just going to say, see, that's the thing is that, between the film that you're trying to write and these short films, the journey is part of it, but again, you have to give me the ending. You
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
And it's just like, because if you don't, like, and I'm not trying to be funny or you know, whatever, like make fun, because sorry guys, if for some reason you do see this, but M. Night Shyamalan, bro.
Oh God, don't even get me started. Yeah.
You can't, I only like maybe 2 films fully.
And I would have to guess that one of them is The Sixth Sense.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And Devil.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's the only 2 that fulfill even if it, again, ridiculousness, just the fact of everything else is just, oh, dude, I can't.
I was so excited for The Village.
The journey,
I was so excited.
Yeah, the journey was great. Bro, come on. Like,
What a twist! Yeah.
yeah, like fuck me, right? Like I wasted $7 at the video store.
Yeah.
I've got this bitch till fucking Thursday.
Right.
Like, yeah, what am I gonna do with it now?
What am I gonna do? Watch my family watch it and be disappointed like
Yeah,
I was? Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It's just like that. That's my thing is that, you know, he is another one for me personally that is just like, oh, like it was so close. It was so close.
It's because, dude, I won't lie. There is not going to be a moment that will replicate the fear that I felt. It was similar to even Signs, because like now, granted, like again, it's dated now when you watch it with the, you know, the CGI and everything. But the first time that you see one of the aliens when it's walking down the street past the alleyway, and it was like, oh my God, like we're watching a horror movie and we finally get to see like what the creature is.
Yeah.
And it delivered. And
Sure.
it was like, oh my God, like this isn't, you know, oh, I saw the zipper in the back in Jeepers Creepers, you know, because that is there. That's something that I did not notice for a while until I watched it for like the 18th time, is that when he's in the jail cell eating the dude's hand, I think, when he's like got like the bars like ripped open, when the cop points the flashlight at his back, you can see the zipper on like the right side of his spine going up the bodysuit.
Oh,
And dude, I was like, oh my God, this is great. And like, and then I watched that and I'm like, well, now I hate this, you know? So like, I still
well,
love,
my day is ruined.
Yes, the Creeper is still a great like monster, but it was like, that was a moment that like it broke reality for me, where I was like, damn, dude, you know? So yeah.
But see, even at that, the whole reasoning behind this, there really isn't a reason, but for what is it, every 28 years for 28 days
or 23rd spring for
23rd, yeah.
23 years for 23, yeah.
Okay, you at least gave me something.
Yeah, right, yeah. You don't need to know why.
Exactly, you gave me something.
Yeah.
Same thing with Pennywise. Other than the fucking spider, he's the eater of worlds. He's a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
You said it without saying it. You gave me an answer. He's just an entity that has been here. That's the whole, again, I'm sorry to sound like a broken record through all this. It's just like, dude, I cannot stand people that can't give me that.
Well, I think that honestly, it's something that does intrigue me, because again, I doubt that you're the only person that has that mentality, because it's that wanting of explanation. It's that wanting of more, because it's that idea of like going down like the rabbit hole. It's, you know, that whole Morpheus thing where it's like, no, take this pill and then I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole really goes. And it's like, oh my God, like, you know, it's like, that's something I want to embrace. And especially since from what it seems like that there's actually going to be a feature film that is made of
it better have a fucking ending.
This is what I'm wondering, is this going to, because I'm going to break my own rule here, is that I think that the Backrooms has the undeniable potential and 110% reason to be franchised. And what I mean is the idea is that, because when you look at something like I know you're not a fan of the movies, but like Insidious Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, to me, those are 2 canon movies. When I look at the idea of the events of what happened in part 1, and then you go into part 2 and see how everything connects together, you're like, oh my God, this explains why there needed to be a part 2, because we're learning more. And like, it wasn't just there's a brand new villain we've never heard of before, and he was connected the whole time.
Time.
You know, it's because I hate that shit so much. Like,
Me too.
Like the Backrooms has this beautiful brilliance to it that I think that, you know, if it works as a standalone film, and they give us enough breadcrumbs to essentially be like, nah, dude, this is what happened, I'm okay with that.
Sure.
I think that different stories, especially when it comes to horror, because there's so few companies that have balls to just tell their story once and then move the fuck on and get a new idea.
Yeah, right.
You know, and it's like the Backrooms, like the proof is in the pudding, where it's like you literally have so much fan fiction. You have the creepypasta it was based off of. You have Kane and what he's doing with what he's doing. Like, it's
That's
just,
why, I think you're right. It can be franchised, and people won't be pissed off about it because there is so much. It would almost be a slap in the face to do it in one movie or one episode or something like that. Like, you almost need this like small series or something like that, or a trilogy of sorts to come out in theaters. Yeah, because it's, if you were to trying to do all of that in one film, you're gonna people's minds are gonna go numb because you're trying to get everything in and then an explanation,
right? And it's
while things are happening.
Yeah, because I think it kind of goes back to the truth of a statement, but the wrong genre was that it was when I think it was like one of the reasons why they cut so much time out of Age of Ultron was that the mentality of that no one's gonna sit down and watch a 4 hours Avengers movie. The fuck I won't.
The fuck you won't.
It's like, no, I will sit down because it's the Avengers and I know these characters. You're right. They can't push everything into one Backrooms movie, because if it was 3.5 hours long, who's going to sit through a horror film that's 3.5 hours long? That was an internet sensation. Like, to me, it's like, I think that it's like, because it lends itself to more of that immediate gratification of like, I scrolled TikTok, I found this, oh, now there's a movie, you know, or I was on YouTube, I watched these 5-minute clips, these 10-minute clips, these 2-minute clips, you know, so it's like, to me, I think that there is a lot of potential. A part of me does hope that they are ballsy enough to be able to make this into one. They tell their story properly, and it's something that we can look at and pick apart for. Like I want to stay up late and find another video of some dude that is another 5-hour breakdown of like, all right, guys, the A24 funded movie is here. Let's break it down and let's review it and let's talk about it, because like
you need to watch. You need to watch Talk to Me, dude.
Oh yeah,
dude, you have to watch that movie.
Yeah,
it falls in that category of things I shouldn't like, and they fucking nailed it for me.
Yeah,
I mean, is it a flawed film? Yeah, and I'm sure that there's a lot more. But like, as far as it, I've only seen it once, guys. But bro, the intenseness, the way it looks, the way it's shot, you know, even some of the dialogue, you know, it is kind of one of those, like, they kind of sleep tokened me. It's like the whole process. And
right.
Again, I shouldn't like it. Dude, it's fire.
See, that's what I want. Is I want fresh films like that. Like,
it's original almost in a sense.
Well, because again, not even seeing the film, but I would put it into the spectrum of movies that have come out, like Barbarian, like Smile, where it's just like these. Because this is the one thing that I really want to like stress, and this is the thing that I think that is the most important when it comes to a film being made, is the script. Is that it's the idea of like, where did the idea come from? Okay, here's our pacing. Here's act 1. Here's act 2. I mean, like, you don't always have to follow that structure, but it's like, all right, like, here's the things that are going to happen. Where it's, you know, because even like when you look at something like Saw X, where it's like, this is the 10th film, actually, no, the 11th film, technically, in this franchise. They tried to do something different with Spiral. I personally enjoyed Spiral. I thought it was kind of fun. I thought it was like,
never seen it.
It's worth a watch, I would say, at least once. Make up your own, you know.
How many compound fractures are in it?
There's no compound fractures, but there's fractured bones.
Yeah, I can do that. That's fine.
So
how many people get their fingernails pulled out?
None of them.
Okay, then I can watch it.
But the thing is that what's interesting is that Saw X, you can tell that script was just written with so much love for the series.
Dude,
it was just a good script.
It was a good movie. I will give it that. Like, that is, it was just like the Fast and the Furious, and I'm not trying to compare. What I'm saying is that I stopped watching after like the second or third. I'm like, fucking quit. You know, and I know people can argue the fact of, well, you watch all the Jasons and the Freddys, and that's what those were.
Those are grab a bucket of popcorn. I'm not paying attention. I want to see people die. Whereas like Saw is clever.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be clever. Yeah.
And it's like you were saying was like, it just kept going the fact of, oh, he was behind the scenes. Shut the fuck up. No, he wasn't.
Yeah.
You just didn't know where to go with your loophole because you went and backed in the corner. Like, I don't like that. At least with Freddy Krueger and Jason and Halloween and all this stuff, it's a slasher film, and it's just murder for nothing, basically.
Right. Yeah.
This, like you said, it was clever. So it went with the same thing with those major franchises like that, where I'm like, dude, stop. You've lost me. You're just now being graphic and as most brutal as you can for no reason other than shock and awe.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, like be more clever about it, I guess, because you're making up more story points to just make more films like that.
Yeah.
I understand the same with all of those 80s and 90s slasher films. But again, I don't know why, but they are its own category compared to things like the Fast and Furious and the Saw, the Saw series. I don't know why Saw hits me differently than some of these other ones. It just does. It's like, how long can this motherfucker keep going? Like, and then his apprentice is taking over, and then it's no, you're all in jail by the fourth one.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, you're all in prison.
Well, I think that like what kind of, I guess I talked about this with the guys like from the inner sanctum now, but like the Deadheads or whatever. Where like I was like, look, I'm like even the way that they did Saw 7 or the final chapter or Saw 3D, however you want to call it, because it's so convoluted, but they like even in the promotional art, they were depicting him to be like this almost like God level of like understanding and prepping and like just ready. And it's like, okay, I get that.
Wasn't he sick?
What's right. And it's like there's that mentality where it's like he is a terminally ill patient that has figured out how to take care of things well past his death, and like people that he either thought he could trust or people that he can trust to carry on his legacy. Like it's compelling in some ways, but Saw X kind of in a way like it made me laugh out loud, where he's at home and he's laying on his couch with a blanket over him and he's watching TV because clearly he's sick, you know, but in the same hand, my thought is like, okay, this is in the timeline between Saw 1 and 2, which means that the Fatal 5 and Saw 5 would have had to have been prepped long enough for all 5 of them to be kidnapped, to be thrown into this entire game that has all, and we haven't even gotten into Saw 6, which has the carousel, the shotgun automation thing that comes down.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
So it's like all these ridiculous like engineered traps. Now you could say that John is an engineer. So like he is already like, he is a genius. So it's like he's able to do these things. But there's a point where I'm like, you do not have time to lay on a couch and take a nap. I'm sorry, like you do not.
Right.
You know, and it's like, so like that's where the series was kind of broken. But I think that what saved it for me was the fact that it was like, man, like this movie has a lot of heart. It's like, we're watching John struggle. We're watching him, you know, look for hope. And it's like, okay, like this is kind of interesting. So it's like, okay, like, are they going in a whole different, you know, direction and they're going to reboot the series or they're going to do something different? Like, I don't know. Like it sat with me wrong just because I'm like, the Saw movies are so involved, and it's like the fact it's like when all of the chapters take place during the other, like, and like, you know, Saw 6 is technically between like 3 and 4, and it's it's so insane.
Exactly. This is where with the Backrooms, dude, you again, give me something, because you're doing too much to not give the people what they want, and they do deserve it. There is something to be said about some mystery or, you know, your own kind of thought process, but when you've gone this far, no, you can't do that to people. And yeah, Saw goes back and forth for me, but again, all of the other movies that we were talking about are things that like they've given you something. And that's the thing, is that I think that what's the guy's name that does this?
Kane Pixels, yeah.
Kane Pixels?
Kane Pixel, yeah.
Pixel, you better deliver, man, and I will give you the coolest high five you've ever gotten. So
I would actually, that's something that I would be very interested to do, because even like we've talked about doing a review of Talk to Me whenever I'm able to watch it, or like
we need to do that soon, I think.
So that's something I've been heavily considering and thinking about, because, you know, again, like we have a Halloween Kills, you know, review on the channel. We've done, you know, Burt Kreischer's film and things like that's what we love. Like we love art. We love, you know, like to be able to have a conversation about that. And I think that when it comes to something that is horror based, that is doing something that, in my opinion, in cinema has not been done to this level or in this way, because he's talked about different inspirations and things that like led him to where he is. But again, there is no such thing as an original idea. What can you do with it?
Right. So,
I don't know. Like, to me, I think that if the audience, which is just like the general movie going audience, depending on who wants to go see it, or if, like, you know, because the idea of that, like when the first teaser trailer drops, where it's like, this is coming in, you know, Halloween of, you know, 2026 or something, where it's like, is the trailer enough to grip a normal audience and then discover this gold mine of like, oh my God, this is like, okay, maybe this is what they'll do, or like
kind of like The Last of Us for people.
Sure. It's like, we're like, there's a lot of unanswered questions that people that are fans of the show have, but if they do enough research, they could find out the story.
Sure.
You know, so it's like, who's going to stay in the dark? Who's going to, you know, embrace this? Like, there is so much potential here for a new type of horror that I think that has not been put into film. Like, and again, if there is stuff, I want to watch it. Like, I want to be able to gauge it and take it in, because the horror community is desperate for some new shit. Like, it's like watching even some of the stuff that's come out this past year, like When Evil Lurks was like, in my opinion, it was a decent one. It was good, you know, but like extreme horror films like The Sadness, or like when you have,
I need to watch that too, man.
Yeah, that's it's intense, dude.
I've heard, and that's why, like, it's one of those, like, I want to see it at least once, and I'm looking for those good horror movies that I can find. Like, sometimes they are cheesy, but I do like a cheesy horror film. But then there are some, like The Sadness, where I'm like, no, man, disturb the fuck out of me.
And they will, and they do.
Right. And that's where there's another show. I don't want to get on it too much, but I meant to say it earlier, and I don't know why I was thinking about it when we were talking about something, but have you ever seen Alice in Borderlands?
No, it's plenty of people. You and like Amber and a few other people have told me about it. I know it's incredible. I've not sat down to watch it.
You need to watch that, man. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But yeah. So sorry, it popped in my head again.
No, you're good, man. That's again, it's the fact that, you know, being able to just like find new things that we're going to enjoy, especially like, because there's a part of me that does wonder if it's going to go straight to on demand, you know, like where you can just stream it.
Sure.
But I can guarantee you that if the Backrooms is put into cinema, I'm going to go see it. I'm going to go support it.
I'll go with you. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm actually really on board for this as far as like a non-liker of films and series like this. They've really got something here, and I don't know why. I don't know why, and I can't explain why it has me even hooked on that one episode and the little bit that you showed me of the other one when the car was there. But yeah. So, but like I said, you've given me, I don't care that you've kind of given me an answer, but this whole like, okay, there's levels, and then if you do this and this is how you get out, like, all right, now I want to see the journey, as we were talking about earlier. Like, now let me see what you've done.
Yeah.
So this is cool, and if it does come out in theaters, if theaters are still a fucking thing,
right?
We'll go see it. Fuck yeah.
Honestly, it makes me want to again, because I would never be ballsy enough to do this. Because like we've watched, I think it's her channel is one of the movie reactors we watch, which is Cat Watches Horror Films, or Cat Watches Movies, I think, where she starts off her video and she's like, "Hi, I'm Cat and I hate horror.
Yeah.
You know, what I loved about what she did was that she watched Jaws sitting in a pond.
See, now I would do that.
I can't do it, dude. Like I would freak the fuck out. Like
the movie's so boring.
I just, man, it's this.
But that would make it cooler.
Right. Well, because even like she ended up doing the Blair Witch Project. She watched that, in the middle of the woods, and like even how she lit that was incredible. So it's like,
might try that too. But see, like that movie, snooze fest.
So that's what I was really intrigued as to what you thought about this, because again, like there's been some times like when you and I have had conversations about things where it's like what scares us in real life. Or like, because we've done a full podcast on what scares us, but like, it's also like the idea of that, no, like cinematically, what's going to scare me or like what's going to get under my skin. And like, this was so different because it's like, okay, like you could say that there's a paranormal aspect, but it's like, no, it's more like it's dimensional, it's creature. It's a whole different playing field, and to me, I think that, being able to embrace this new genre and let people, because I mean, let's face it, like, if this becomes a thing on a, kind of like a quote unquote like mainstream level, we know we're going to get copycats and we're going to get other things that are made. And while a part of me cringes at that, there's also the other part of me that is excited because of what other creative minds are going to do with this, like the analog horror or this liminal space, or like, it's so different and it's so damn disturbing. Cause it's just like, I mean, watching the one clip of, I think it was the one with the car, when the girl has the camera and she walks into that massive room with these pillars, and there's this very long blue couch that's just in the middle of the room. Like, why is this here? Like what? So I can sit down and take a nap? Or maybe
you're tired.
Right? Since I mean,
it's been a long day looking at these fucking pale walls.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Here's a nice, just seductive blue couch for you to lay on.
At least this is another color to fucking focus on.
Right, and it's just to me, like it's there's so much that can be had with it that I think could be a lot of fun, but. Ultimately, guys, I know that this was a very interesting kind of like dive into this strange thing, but scroll TikTok, find this thing, look it up on YouTube, decide for yourself about this, because I can guarantee that, there's probably a good sector of our audience that is aware of it. I even asked on Discord where I was like, hey guys, like kind of in the film version or the film channel where I was like, hey guys, like, what do you guys know about this? Do you guys have anything cool? And that's actually how I found out about the 10-hour review, and like people were sending things. So I'm like, okay, like there's at least a part of our audience that does know about this. But for somebody that is jumping into this completely blind, where it's like, what is this? It's just completely out there. So either way, I think that we have we've exhausted this one. I think that like for right now, until there's more to talk about, but it's just, again, this is the stuff that I love, where it's so weird, and it's like something so freaky and just, ridiculous that it's like, you have to tell somebody, like you have to talk about it, but either way, guys, if you've enjoyed this episode, definitely leave a like, comment, let us know what you guys want to see in the next one, of whether it's a topic or if it's questions you guys have.
30,000 likes.
30,000 likes, and we will do another episode. No, new episode's gonna be coming out next week. But regardless, we appreciate you all. We just can't thank you enough for sticking around and just helping us fight the algorithm, whether it's here or it's on Riker Road or anywhere else. So, but nevertheless, Eric, is there anything that you would like to leave the audience with before we officially sign off until next week?
Do better on your dark web videos to try to scare me, because they're snooze fests, TikTok and everybody else. So yeah, we don't buy it.
It's fake. We love you all. We'll see you then. We'll see you in the next one. Not then. The next one. I'm cutting it.